What's happening? And welcome back to another episode of the Account for Life podcast. Jay Moore, the healthy accountant, helping you to account for your life. And today on the podcast, here's what we're going to discover. When you imagine, you can have it. When you imagine it, you can have it. That's what I want to say. When you imagine it, you can have it. There's a scripture, a very famous scripture that says in Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Where there's no vision, vision is the imagination process. And today we're going to get into what imagining really can do for you and what imagining has done for me. Guys, I just want to welcome you to this episode. I am the first multimillionaire of the Willie and Nellie Moore family here in the United States. And this is happening and happened in 2024. And so if you're watching this and when this is airing, you are watching it happen in the midst. If you're watching this and this is 2025 and beyond, this has already happened. And so my job as a healthy accountant is to prove without a shadow of a doubt that a person can use their faith. No. We're not talking about religion. What we're talking about is a mental faculty that we all have to expect the outcome that we ultimately desire. And it's my mission. Look, and I didn't even know this was my mission until this year. And until probably the part of the third quarter of 2024, I started hearing faith over and over and over and over. That's all you should be talking about. I'm like, faith, what are you talking about? Then I was reminded, well, where's my book at? He says, well, didn't I give you a book? Yeah, it's over here. He says, didn't I have you write a book on faith? He says, didn't I do that? He says, didn't I share with you what that meant and what that's going to do for not just for, it's not about you, it's about the people. I was like, oh yeah, next level of faith, moving mountains in certain time. He says, now go and live it. So guys, I'm going to share with you today that when you can imagine it, you can have it. Full stop. When you can imagine it, you can have it. And we're gonna go through a process. Got a few things I want to share. Share the definitions of some major words that we have to really understand. Then we're going to go deep into the imagination process, what I've discovered and what I've learned. Because look, I want to pay homage where homage is due to those that I've learned from, and I've learned a lot about imagination. From Dr. Myron Golden. So if you don't know who he is, he's on YouTube. Find Dr. Myron Golden or Myron Golden. And he teaches principles from the Bible. And one of the principles that he teaches that has blown me away is the 4 levels of value. And so we're going to start here at the 4 levels of value. And as we move to the 4 levels of value, then I'm going to come back to the definitions of how you will use your imagination to get what you want. You ready? All right, let's go into this. The 4 levels of value states this. You got the first level of value. We're not going to go in the order that you should go in. So we're going to start from the least important to the most important. Now, here's the thing. Even though we're going to start at the least important, it's a prioritized level that must be done well. Okay, so I'm going to set that up. So the first level of value is why am I tripping? First level of value is implementation. Implementation. That means implementation is when you use your muscles to make money. Implementation. What is implement? I'm going to say what implementation is. You know what a bodybuilder is and lifting weights. But if you were a car mechanic, right? If you were a car mechanic, all right. So if you were a car mechanic, think about, you actually have to fix the car. Or if you worked at a hotel and you were on the housekeeping staff, then you are cleaning all the rooms. Now, here's the thing about both of those things. Those are very important. Cars can't get fixed without mechanics. And hotels need the housekeeping staff almost like Look, if they don't have a housekeeping staff, that hotel is dead. You will not be a 5-star hotel. You will not be a good hotel. So even in my field, accounting field, the people that do the bookkeeping, that's one of the most important jobs, but they get paid the least. So people at the implementation level, they make anywhere from minimum wage to, on the high end, $80,000. But typically minimum wage to about $40,000. Come on. So, but that's the implementation level. A lot of people get stuck on this level. Here's how I know. Most people's desire is to make $100,000, which says that they haven't made $100,000. And because they want to make $100,000, and they're probably stuck on the implementation level. They have not imagined. They have not used imagination to have it. What they did is, at some point, they did. I used my imagination. I said I wanted to be, I said I wanted to be an accountant. I just thought of it. Oh, be an accountant. I didn't know what it was. I just imagined it. But then I got stuck doing the work. And so that's the implementation level. Second level of value is unification. Unification is when you use your management skills. That's all it is, right? So management skills. It's like, the person that works at the manager that works at the fast food, right? They work at the fast food. They manage the place. They probably make like $40,000 a year. On the high end of management, you work for a corporate company. You may be making $250,000, $200,000. Now, here's the thing about that. Even though you're making that kind of money, they own you. They own your time. So the most people make on the unification level 2, is 40,000, high end 250, but most people still don't get there. But here's the thing. You're using your management skills. So you're probably managing people. You're managing the people on the implementation level. All right. So these next 2 levels are the most important levels. Level 3 is communication. Communication, where you use your mouth to make money. Right now, I'm using my mouth. I'm speaking out. I'm communicating. This podcast, I don't actually look to make money from it. However, when I use my mouth and when I use my writing skills, I write books, and I have 3 books. I've got Next Level Faith, Living Life at the Next Level, Beyond Tax Strategy. And those books were written. That's on the communication level. Now, here's the thing about the communication level. Most people, right? Or even sales, right? Like people in sales, people that are entertainers, people that are professional athletes. These are on the professional level. That's where these people are. Anywhere from $100,000 a year to $100 million a year. That's a communication level. We still haven't gotten to the highest level of value. What is the highest level of value? And this is where we're going to just really go deep. The highest level of value is imagination. Imagination. Albert Einstein said, imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions. Say that again. Imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions. I was inspired by Denzel Washington's movies, or I was probably really inspired by myself, because I decided that, you know what, I'm going to go deep. I'm going to learn. I'm going to understand, like an actor, what are they doing? And I went and, broke down the movie, The Book of Eli, and I'm looking at it. Somebody thought of this whole movie. It's imagination, guys. Someone who thinks of a movie that's actually not true, they write a movie. They write it in such a way that then they get the best actors, people who can make us believe, people who can say, oh my goodness, they were so good in this movie. Like Denzel Washington was Eli in the movie. Listen, I bought in. I mean, the man had skills. He had knife skills, gun skills. He had butchering skills. He had fighting skills. The dude learned how to read Braille. But he had one thing that was the most important. He had faith. See, imagination and faith go hand in hand. Say it again, imagination and faith go hand in hand. It's like you can't have one without the other. So when you can imagine it, Imagination is a preview of life's coming attractions. You use your mind. I'm going to press to my head, but we know the head is not the mind. What is the mind? What is the mind? You know, when people die, they still can't find the mind. They have gone into the body, they've looked around, and they still don't know where the mind is. What is the mind? The mind is the invisible part of us. The mind is what runs everything in us. The mind. All right. A couple things I want to note on this imagination level. At the imagination level, you make millions to billions. You use your mind to make money, and then you use your money to make money. When you imagine it, you can have it. See, what do you desire? What would you like to have? Where would you like to go? And I was thinking about this morning, and I was just like, I said, you know what? All the stuff that I've been thinking about, I can have all of it. Most of us won't take the time. We won't take the time to focus in long enough to get it. Now, in the movie, The Book of Eli, Denzel had been going west for 30 years. He knew, like he said, I know that that's where I'm supposed to go. And he had not wavered in what he knew he should do. See, when we take our faith and we move our faith from believing and having faith to just knowing what you know, what you desire, you get it. Even if you come into hard times, like in a movie, Denzel came into some hard times toward the end. His faith could have been shook. And I think his faith might have been a little shook. However, there was somebody to help. See, he told the story of going west to someone else. And they saw his faith. They saw how passionate he was about what he knew that he knew. And when he was in his darkest hour, they came through and they pushed him across the finish line. Gotta go watch that movie. Go watch it with a keen eye to see where faith is leading a person. But here's the thing. I talked about the 30 years. Time is serious. Now that's a new topic. I'm not going to bring time in today, but we're going to get into time because time is a currency, just like faith is a currency. And we're going to get into that over the coming weeks. What I do want to share today is how you imagine it so you can have it. Because I haven't told you how to do it yet. Here's how you're going to do it. Right? Here's how you're going to do it. It starts with a concept. Everything starts with a concept. Concept just means it's an idea. It's a notion. It's that feeling. It's something comes over you. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to use my faith. I've got a whole name for the people. I've got a whole name for the people and what they become. I got a whole name for them. I'm not sharing that yet. But I got a whole name for the people because I says I'm that person. And I know that there's at least 1 million people that want to be that person. So I know that there's an audience that would love to be this person. So how does one use their faith? How does one use their imagination that they can actually have this stuff that they imagine? It starts with a concept. So you get this idea. It's abstract. It's not even broke down yet. It's not filled with anything. It's like, oh, faith. It's just open. Like, what do I do with that? It's like next level faith. Like, what do I do with that? Moving mountains in uncertain times. And oh my goodness, stop worrying. This is a subchapter in the book. Stop worrying about the stuff that you desire. Because when you know it, you just know it and you don't have to worry. You can put yourself on the time frame. You can put yourself on what, I think I can do this in this amount of time, right? I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the book 10x is easier than 2x. The concept doesn't make sense because when you think of doubling, it's hard. But when you think of 10x, it feels impossible. Like, if you were making $50,000 and then you said, I want to 10x that, that's $500,000. Oh my goodness. But what happens is we want to do exactly what we did before. You can't do exactly what you did before to go from 50,000 to $500,000. You can't go from 100,000 to $1 million doing exactly what you did to get to 100,000 because it's not going to work. You can go from 100 to 2, maybe you can go from 100 to 300 doing the same thing. You might even be able to get to 400. But here's the thing. It's going to feel hard. So the first level here in this imagination process is you get an idea. It's abstract. It's just open. Nothing's happening with it. It's just like, you're just sitting here like, what? Man, this feels good, but I don't. What do I do with this faith thing? Like, I have a faith name, but I'm not going to share it because it's mine. Like, I don't have a copy written in anything yet. But it's like faith. It's like faith. Like, wow. Has anybody come up with that name? I went and looked around and nobody had the name. I says, oh, now it's just people had a part of the name, but they didn't have the name that I had. I says, oh man, this is good. So this is mine. Let me go ahead and buy the domain. Got to go ahead and trademark the name. Let me go ahead and take care of this stuff before I start saying it. Because it's a good name. Because it's kind of like the healthy accountant. But the healthy accountant is me. And yeah, people can be the healthy accountants, right? They can be part of the group if they want to be. But I think this other one is better. It sounds like, oh, this is so good. But here's the thing. It started as an idea. It was abstract. And I didn't know what to do with it. But here's what happens when you get this notion. Are you ready? Here's what happens. Let me see which way I want to go with this. I'm going to go here first. Right? Here's what happens, right? You go into the next phase, right? Conceive. You was in concept, then you go into conceive where you're actually seeing a mental representation of the image. This is huge because when you have the idea, there's no representation of it. You can't really see much. But when you go into when it's conceived, it's kind of like, these are all words you can use in like having a baby. Think about a baby. Think about the process of having a baby. Someone has, a man and woman have sex, right? They have sex and then next thing you know, they conceive. It just goes in there. Oh my goodness. And now there's an actual, wow, something is happening inside of the woman's body. Now you can see a baby. Meaning you can see. I may be doing this backwards, but I'll share the yellow in just a second. And you can kind of see that something is starting to form. This imagination process, and I love how Myron teaches this stuff, man. Like, he really goes deep on this stuff, and the way he teaches it challenges your mind. And it's been challenging me for the past couple of years, 2.5 years I've been listening to him, almost 3 years. And how I've been looking at this, I says, well, if imagination is the top of the food chain, meaning like if I can imagine it, I can have it. Like, is that real? Like, can I really do that? Why do we doubt? Why do we doubt that we can have something? I don't know. Because what happens is, this is me. I doubt it because when I'm looking on the outside of myself of what I don't have, well, it's out there. But I have to look on the inside of myself and see that it's in me first. See, because when I form the mental representation of what it is that I'm now, of the concept that I've started, now the conception starts to form a plan. Starts to form a plan. So when you think about, once the baby is conceived, and what happens in the conception process, now you can see everything is starting to work itself towards the result of baby coming out. Now here's the thing. There's a specific time frame for when that baby comes out. There's a specific time frame for when our faith and our expectation will yield a result. Now here's the thing. Because we are all different, those time frames differ. We don't like you don't know. When am I going to become a millionaire? Well, here's the thing. Here's what I've discovered in the process. You got to first be bold enough to say it. You got to be bold enough to just say, I'm the first millionaire in the Willie and Ellie Moore family in 2024. First one. I won't be the last. But here's the thing. We'll be multi-million plus hundreds and potentially multi-billions maybe. Yeah. Now here's the thing. I don't have to concern myself with how that happens. I have to concern myself with the plan. I have to concern myself with making sure that as I've conceived this idea, that I'm forming and devising a plan that leads me directly to where it is that I said I'm going. So how does one form a plan? When you imagine your life, you imagine your business, you imagine your family, you imagine all just beautiful things happening. Imagine it. And what should one do? And this is what I'm leaning into right now. You got to take time every day. Specific time. I'm talking about when you're not doing anything and all you're doing is imagining, thinking, talking to yourself, not even to anybody else. Talking to yourself. I love going into my closet. I'll go into my closet and I'll just be in there thinking and talking and just feeling what it would feel like when all of this happens. Because what we're doing is we're giving our mind truth. We're saying to our mind, hey, this is real. Now, here's the thing. The mind doesn't know whether it's real or not. When the mind can feel it, the mind says, oh, I can just go get everything necessary for this. So you don't have to worry about whether or not it's going to be possible, because when you continue in this process, like I'm continuing this process, this year, 2024, J. Moore, the first millionaire of the Willie and Ellie Moore family. First one. This year. Here's the thing. If I start trying to think about the past and how the past affected me, then it's not going to work. Nothing's going to happen. I'll just get more of the past. So I press toward the prize. It says that in Philippians 3 and 13 and 14, forget the past. And, as you forget the past, press toward the prize of the high calling of your imagination, right? Because your imagination is actually the thing that gets you there. It's the expectation of it. Kids do this all the time. Christmas, and they're expecting the best things. They're expecting to have fun. They're expecting that they're going to have fun when they go to Disney World, Disneyland, and amusement parks. They're expecting it. Now, what happens is we've all been affected by this. We've all been affected by not receiving what we desired. And because we didn't receive it, we take the past and we project the past on the present, and by projecting the past on the present, we determine that our future is whatever the past was. Do you see that when you take this concept, when you have a concept, your idea, this is what you're going to imagine, and then you form a mental representation of the concept, and then you devise a plan with conception. Don't you see how you can have the things that you ultimately desire to have? Don't you see that? I can see it so clear today. And it all started with something called next level faith. What this means is that there's no one level that you get to stay on. Every time you move and you accomplish, there's a new level. So in this season, as you're now imagining your life, your future, you're imagining your business, your family, whatever it is, your physical body, you're imagining perfect health. Start with next level faith. Move into imagination. Move into the fact that once you have the concept, once you conceive it, and you go through conception, devising the plan, all you got to do at that point is move towards it. And how do you do that? You want to take time every day. Every day. You want to spend at least 15 minutes at the end of your day, just before you go to bed, because then you're priming your mind. You're priming your mind for all the good, so that when you wake up in the morning, you're moving towards exactly what you've already told your mind to think about. When you can imagine it, you can have it. Watch this again if you need to. And remember the 4 levels of value. Imagination is at the top. Imagination. So instead of focusing in on the implementation level, you want to focus in on the imagination level. That's where all your dreams, that's where all your goals will come out of. And lastly, be sure that when you go through this process of imagination and you start communicating, you will need help. Make sure you hire help to help you implement all this stuff, because that is what's going to get everything done. All right. So guys, I'm going to continue this topic. You don't have to worry. This is not a one-off. We'll be talking about imagination, and we'll be talking about faith and expectation and conception and concepts and conceive, all these things for months and years to come, because I know that God has given us the ability to gain wealth. And if you would like to gain all the wealth that God has given you the ability to have, then all you got to do is imagine it. So guys, I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of the Account for Life podcast. This is Jim with a Healthy Accountant, helping you to account for your life. God bless, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.